Good grief. It's a bit of a speed wobble. Hello, everybody. And I'm going to time myself because I am a world champion talker. But fundamentally, thank you for the opportunity to come and chat to you today. And I think one of the most important things about the National Arts Festival, and those of you that live in Makhanda know it well, is that the festival is an organism. It's not an event. It lives, it breathes, and even outside of our 11 days, we are continually at work behind the scenes. The festival never sleeps. It sits down, it has a good cry after every festival, and then it gets up and it starts the process all over again. And the festival is an incredible thing. It's amazing, complicated, difficult, sad, tragic, awful, messy, complicated, all of those things all at once. And in that respect, it's incredible. It's fragile. It's beautiful. It's an absolute privilege to be part of the team that makes the National Arts Festival happen. And it's a core team, it's a small one, but ultimately there's a huge, huge family that makes it happen. We can't do what we do without technicians, artists, creative technicians, set designers, production managers, and in essence, it is at the heart an enormous collaborative effort. It takes skill, it takes expertise, it takes passion, and most of all, and if any of you have interacted with the festival team, it takes people who love what they do. Nobody would do this for money. Nobody would do this for money. You have to do it because you love it. And one of the most interesting things about our tagline, which is, "It will change you," was a recognition that we needed to change as the festival, because when you get to your 50s, you're kind of going, okay, wow, does my bum look big in this? It probably does. And I should probably change. And am I going grey? Do I have some wrinkles? Yep, you do. But equally was a recognition that we couldn't be something that happened to Makhanda anymore. We had to be something that happened with Makhanda. And if there's any thematic to what I hope will be the sort of core element of what I talk to you about today, is the need for change and how change happens. And fundamentally, if we all do the same thing, nothing changes. If we all stand and scream at each other about who should be filling potholes and why there are potholes and who made the potholes and why the potholes aren't filled, the pothole gets bigger. What happens when you walk into the middle of the road, somehow persuade some insane funder to give you some money because you have no idea how to fill potholes? You're the National Arts Festival. But fundamentally, you manage to use your skill at project proposal writing and submitting pitches and presenting yourself as a credible funding opportunity to say to a funder, look, we're not only going to fill some potholes, we're going to try and fill all of them. And we're not only going to do that, we're going to grow food. And we're not just going to do that, we're also going to clear rubbish. So yesterday, 1,867 people worked on the Social Employment Fund project. And just a couple of days before that, we processed a payroll of just over 3.8 million. And that goes directly into people's pockets. And it's a tough thing. It's a really difficult, complicated thing. And I have the hours racked up at the CCMA to prove it. But fundamentally, what it has done is change the conversation. It's changed the way people think about what's possible. It's changed the way people understand agency and what happens when you decide to do something. Anything, a small thing, a big thing, a different thing. And should the National Arts Festival be filling potholes? I don't know. I actually don't care. Because coulda, woulda, shoulda is not a motto that gets anybody anywhere. How about we change the conversation completely to not just what if, but what after? What then? What next? And I think that's the primary question for South Africans at the moment, and certainly for the National Arts Festival, as we look at being 50. And what does it mean to be a 50-year-old festival? And what does it mean to live in a city like Makhanda, with all of its problems, with all of its challenges, with all of its complexities, with all of the things that make it both good, but also difficult, and ugly, and sad, and tragic, and depressing, and poor, and inequitable, and unequal? Well, you start getting involved. And maybe you don't know how. Maybe you don't know why. But you see rubbish on the side of the road and you pick it up, and eventually you're moving 45 tons of rubbish a month by hand. And then what you're doing with the rubbish is that you're sorting it into recycled waste, into black waste, which goes to the dump, and into green waste. And then you have a look at the piles of green waste and you go, goodness, we can make compost out of the green waste. So that's what you do. So you can feed gardens, so that you can create places, so that you can move illegal dump sites, and you can replace them with gardens. And slowly but surely, 69 streets are cleaned every day, and 10 public parks are cleaned every day, and 15 food gardens are created that make a contribution to feeding kids at school. School desks are repaired, school gardens are cleaned, windows are repaired, gutters are replaced, water tanks are plumbed in, and so slowly but surely, one day at a time, something different happens. And you have sleepless nights because the funder is complex and difficult, and you worry about whether or not you're going to survive the auditors that are coming to check your books. But at the end of the day, something happens. Agency moves us forward because you step into a space and you do something different. You believe something different. And maybe that's the radical thing, is choosing to believe that maybe a festival, and maybe together with a town, we can change the future of where we live. And believe in a different future, and not just expect that to happen, but make it happen. And not just for the festival guests, but for everybody. And so a little bit of the thinking work that went into this mad, crazy, ambitious, weird, radical plan was a sense that actually what is broken can be fixed. Don't despair. Please, please, be unhappy, be depressed, be distressed, be angry, but don't despair. Because what is broken can be fixed, can be beautiful, can be used, can be valued, can be structured, can become what you want it to be. There's an incredible Japanese art form called kintsugi, which is to take what is broken and to use glue, gold, paint, anything that is available to reconstitute it, to make it functional, but also to recognize what it has gone through. It will always have its fault lines. It will always have its past. But its past doesn't need to redefine its future as broken or discardable or unusable or something that we don't want, undesirable. And I think if there's a message here for anybody, is if you imagine a different thing, and maybe you have the space in which to do the different thing. And maybe there's a universe in which that different thing can change not just what you do, but what other people do. Things happen. And change is hard. It's complex. We have WhatsApp groups buzzing about why potholes aren't filled, or why people are making a noise, or why are the red bags still on the side of the road. But it's fine. That we can work through. That's action. That's people responding. That's people seeing. And what I absolutely believe, more than anything, is that the future of our country is in the collective action that pulls together the skills and resources of everybody. And the National Arts Festival is created because of the belief of the people who run it, because of the belief of the artists who perform every year, the audiences who trust us to come and experience the festival every year, but fundamentally because it happens. It happens credibly, reliably, consistently, whether there's a pandemic or not, the National Arts Festival prevails. That's what we need to do as a country, is prevail. But more importantly than that, we need to acknowledge the points at which we need to change and change them. And that is in acknowledging our pain, understanding our trauma, understanding that for some, change will take away. But equally, as long as the intention is for the betterment of most or all, surely that's what we should be aiming for. And at the end of the day, when we look at the prospect of a world where things get harder, change doesn't always work. We're going to fail. But there's dignity in failure because you did something. There's dignity in learning the lesson of goodness that went incredibly badly, let's not try that again. And we've had people marching to the monument to say to us, guys, you did this wrong. And we've gone, goodness, you're right. We're sorry. I have the CCMA papers to prove it. But fundamentally, what there is an acknowledgement of the fact that things are not going to always go the way we want. Change will happen in ways, and once you start the ball rolling, once the thing is catalyzed, it's almost beyond you. But equally, sometimes incredible things can happen. People living on a street can decide, you know what, we want to make a contribution to fix our road. We're going to put together some money and we're going to make it happen. And we're going to plan and we're going to work together to make that happen. And if we can do that one road, one playground, one street, one child, one house, one place at a time, goodness, isn't that amazing? It's why I get out of bed in the morning. And it was interesting when I was approached to do this, nobody who meets me walks away with the notion that I am soft in any shape, form or size, or loving in any shape, form or size. That smile out there, I'm a shark. I move forward. That's what I do. I don't know how to go backwards. This didn't come with reverse gear. But fundamentally, I have been embraced and empowered by Makhanda to imagine where my skills and abilities can intersect with the skills and abilities of others to change things. And in some respects, probably the most incredible thing about the city of Makhanda is that we asked for help, and help came. We walked into the middle road and said, goodness, there's a pothole. We don't know how to fill a pothole. Who can help? Oh, as it turns out, there's a road engineer. Her name is Dagmar Kirk. She actually lives here in Makhanda. We never met Dagmar. Dagmar can fill potholes. In fact, Dagmar and her team can lay 140 tons of tar in a week. That's what Makhanda is capable of doing. And that That's what we need to unlock together. And we need to find the ways to make that possible, to allow people to step into the space and step up, to not just ask for a handout, but to actually be part of changing their communities and changing their world. Because it's not up to a group of people who are elected, it's up to all of us. And you know what? That's fine. I'm here for it. Bring it on. But equally, I think that probably the most radical thing, the most loving thing, is the belief that change is necessary, change must happen now, change is possible, and that we can all be part of it, and all should be part of it. And so my question to everybody listening, what are we going to do today, tomorrow, to change? Thank you very much.